When Senator Bernie Sanders suffered a heart attack earlier this month, concerns were for his health first and foremost. Campaign and political considerations were far down the list. But now both the candidate and his presidential bid appear to be in much better shape as we head toward the primary homestretch. Senator Sanders is our guest this morning. Senator, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So first off, give us a sense of how you're doing about a month out from the procedure.
I'm doing great. I had a blocked artery. 2 stents were put in. This is a procedure done about 1 million times a year in the United States. I spent 2 days in the hospital, back on my feet, feeling great.
What assurances can you give everyone that you're not taking any unnecessary risks with your own health moving forward?
Well, I wouldn't, obviously. My wife wouldn't allow me to do that, nor would my kids or grandchildren. I'm feeling strong, feeling healthy, and I think we are in a position to run a vigorous campaign from now to Election Day.
Certainly the setup right now looks pretty good. You just got a big endorsement from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Will we see you campaigning with her here in New Hampshire?
That we're working on her schedule, working on my schedule, so I can't give you a definitive answer, but Alexandria will be campaigning with me around the country.
What does that backing mean to you?
She is a phenomenon. I got to say this. If you understand that nobody knew who she was 1 year ago. In fact, a year ago, she was tending bar someplace. And now she has helped, I think, transform politics in this country in terms of being an inspiration to so many young people, people of color, but people in general, in the sense of being a person who is prepared to stand up to powerful corporate interests and represent the working families of our country in a language that so many people can understand. She is the author, all this within 1 year, of the Green New Deal, which recognizes, and my proposal on climate change builds on the Green New Deal, which recognizes that climate change is the existential threat not only to the United States, but to the entire world, and that we have no option but to go forward in an aggressive way to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy if we are going to save this planet for our kids and our grandchildren. That's what she has helped contribute. And I think she's going to be a great asset to our campaign.
One of the big points of contention now in the Democratic primary is the issue of health care. Medicare for All taking a lot of fire from the more moderate Democratic candidates. You've made the case on the moral side for Medicare for All. Recently, though, you were asked about how to pay for this, and you're saying, I don't have to put out a plan on that just yet. Do you feel that you're obligated, though, to say how you're going to pay for this?
This is what I say. You're dealing with a very significant plan. Do I think I need to tell somebody if they make $84,000 a year exactly how much they're going to have to pay? At this point, I don't, because you can introduce a plan to the Congress, it'll be changed, no matter whose plan it is. But Joe Biden made that criticism. And I want Joe, who's a longtime friend of mine, to tell the American people why he is defending a wasteful, dysfunctional, and cruel healthcare system which results in the United States spending twice as much per person on healthcare as do the people of Canada or any other industrialized country, while 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured, 30,000 die a year unnecessarily, and some 500,000 people go bankrupt because they cannot afford to pay for a serious illness that they had, like cancer or some other type of illness. That's what Joe has got to defend. Now, what we have done is laid out a number of options. And what our plan says, you're not going to pay any more premiums, nor will your employer. There are no more co-payments. There are no more deductibles. There are no more out-of-pocket expenses. And we're going to take on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry such that nobody in America will have to pay more than $200 a year for the prescription drugs they need. Now, health care is not free. It's got to be paid for. It will be paid for out of the general tax base. We're exempting the first $29,000. So you make $50,000, first $29,000 you're not paying any taxes on. You will pay, perhaps, we look at various options. One of the options is a 4% tax on income, exempting the first $29,000. All right? So at the end of the day, if you're not paying any more premiums or co-payments, your prescription drug costs are much lower. For the overwhelming majority of the American people, they will be saving substantial sums of money on their health care costs as compared to the current system.
Can you give us a ballpark, though, on, you might get a lot more support if you can draw that line, say household family income, $110,000. When do the costs go up as opposed to go down?
Well, not for a family of $110,000. It's a progressive, you know, we have outlined various options. And as I've said, there is no plan ever brought forth by a presidential candidate that is going to be adopted totally by the Congress. There'll be a lot of debates. But at the end of the day, for the very, very rich, yes, they're going to pay a lot more in taxes under my proposal. For the average American, they will be saving significant sums of money on their health care costs because they're not going to pay any more premiums or co-payments or out-of-pocket expenses.
You mentioned this being a battle in Congress, certainly would be. And if you're President Sanders coming up in 2021, are you working with the Democrats you have on Capitol Hill who are skeptical of Medicare for All, or are you going to try to replace them with more progressive?
What I would say, it certainly is disagreements within the Democrats. That's correct. But let's be clear what this is about. The healthcare industry, that is the insurance companies and the drug companies, do you know how much money they made in profits last year? They made $100 billion, charging us the highest prices in the world for healthcare and the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. They're going to be advertising on your television station, and they're out in Iowa, they'll be all over this country. They will be lying about Medicare for All. They'll be lying. Because their goal as the healthcare industry is to continue to make as much as they can in profits and continue to charge us by far the highest prices in the world for healthcare. We are taking them on, and it's not easy. So I'm not just worried about my Democratic opponents who disagree with me, and some of them, like, you know, Joe Biden, who now has a super PAC, including healthcare industry folks on his super PAC. I'm not worried about them, but I am concerned that this industry will spend as much as they want in order to maintain their profits. And I think the American people understand that we cannot continue to be the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all, that health care is a human right, not a privilege.
You're in a very solid position potentially to gain the nomination of this party. If you're going to get to that mountaintop, do you think you need to offer any kind of an olive branch to those dyed-in-the-wool Democrats who aren't big money or corporate Democrats, but they're those party activists who still are upset about the fact that you rejected the party's nomination running in 2018?
I rejected the party's nomination.
For the Senate, when you ran for the Senate. This sort of back and forth.
I won the Democratic nomination from the Vermont Democratic Party. I won that. But in Vermont, we have a unique situation, and I made a promise a long, long time ago that I would run as an independent. But I am pledged, absolutely. Look, I intend and hope to win and expect to win the Democratic nomination. If by some chance I don't, I will do as I did in the last campaign and vigorously support the Democratic nominee, because we will be taking on, if he is not impeached, the most dangerous president in the history of this country, and he must be defeated. I hope and believe that I am the strongest candidate who can defeat Trump. Turns out that it's not me. I'll be there for any other Democratic candidate.
You've got a new plan out on marijuana legalization, but you said you want to take pains to make sure that you don't get a big tobacco-style situation. Yes. How do you do that?
I'll tell you how you do it. First of all, the war on drugs has been enormously destructive to so many people that we have got to finally understand that you cannot, as the federal law now does, the Controlled Substance Act, literally put marijuana at the same level as heroin. Heroin is a killer drug. We can argue about marijuana. It is not a killer drug. So we're going to make it legal all over this country. We're going to expunge the records of those people who have been arrested for possession of marijuana. And the third thing is, I think it is proper that we allow those people, often the African-American community, Latino community, who have suffered the most from this war on drugs. Whites and blacks do marijuana about the same level, but blacks are 4 times more likely to be arrested for a variety of reasons. So I don't want to see a handful of large corporations control that legal industry, and we're going to do our best to make sure that people, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and the African-American and Latino community are able to capitalize on marijuana when it's legal.
So you're going to be picking, I guess, who can
Not picking, we will be, but if we don't, then you're going to see, as you're already beginning to see, go to Nevada right now, and you see these large posters, billboards. You know, buy this marijuana, buy this, you know, that marijuana, controlled by the corporate interest. I think those people who have suffered, who have been jailed for selling marijuana should benefit from the legalization.
You're a big supporter of bail reform on the criminal justice front. Here in New Hampshire, it's been implemented, and there were promises that it would both improve public safety and outcomes for defendants, but there's been some problems along the way, in particular with offenders getting out who would have been held under the previous system, people who are dangerous and reoffended. So my question is this. Some of the activists here who back this say essentially that people just need time to adjust to this new normal in criminal justice. Do you agree on that?
Well, I think nobody wants dangerous people who are a threat to society to be out. I mean, I think that's the case. On the other hand, what our critics have to deal with, and this is really quite unbelievable, we have some 2 million people in jail today. That is more than any other country on earth. 20% of those people, 400,000 people, are sitting in jail this moment having been convicted of nothing. They were arrested. They haven't been convicted of anything. The only reason they are in jail is they are poor and they cannot afford bail. It is very hard to defend that situation. That is Charles Dickens's debtor's prison. So I think, I'm not going to say you snap your fingers and everything is well, but we have to eliminate cash bail. We have to be careful that we don't allow people to be out who might be violent, but I think we can work that out.
All right, Senator Sanders, we're glad to see you back.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.